Part 18. I'm Really Immortal. Author, Chulian Kuikan Rusiahwa. Chapter 171. The east wind blooms flowers on thousands of trees at night, and even blows them down. The stars are like rain, and the fragrance of BMWs and cars fills the road. The phoenix flute sounded, the jade pot turned light, and fish and dragons danced all night. The moths are like golden strands of snow and willows, and the laughter is full of hidden fragrance. The crowd looked for him thousands of times, but suddenly looking back, he found that person in a dimly lit place. Rather than interpreting it through reading comprehension, Nuan has always believed that Xianqiji's sapphire case Eve embodies all the beautiful imaginations of modern people about ancient times. If someone fantasizes about traveling to a romantic and beautiful in ancient times, this poem was the scene that most satisfied him. The story told by Lu Chang'an has a completely different feeling. In his eyes, whoever becomes the emperor depends on his own ability. However, in the profession of emperor, most of the weak emperors of the Song dynasty are the most despised by their peers. This is probably the sentence, the country is not upright. It's just that other emperors felt that they had gained the country unfairly, and the entire weak Song dynasty was like a castrated creature, lacking a bit of vitality and vitality. By the way, they also wanted to castrate the entire nation. Since then, the so-called prosperity of Neo-Confucianism has been trying to the hands and feet of women with small feet are tied up and the stench is high, causing endless disasters. When Nuan woke up in the morning, she was still a little confused by the story that Lu Chang'an told about the Song dynasty last night. Lu Chang'an is indeed a good storyteller. When he tells it, his meticulous description seems to be using language to compile a clearly visible along the river during the Qingming festival, but it has a lot more indescribable flavor, as if it really is an immortal wanders between being born and entering the world, until the protagonist goes to sea and says goodbye to all his friends. The story of the protagonist going overseas is also very exciting. I wonder what the collision of things at that time will be like in the story weaved by Lu Chang'an. Lu Chang'an has already gotten up. He got up very early, there were still 7 or 8 stars in the sky, and it happened to be raining at 2 or 3 o'clock. In front of the mountain, the frogs had stopped singing last night, and there was no noise. Lu Chang'an naturally had no reason to catch beneficial insects. The air in the farmhouse after the rain is mixed with the fragrance of rice, green mountains surround the water, and water vapor is thick in the distance. This year's plum rain has not yet passed, and the air is fresh and moist, making people feel that their nose, chest, and lungs have been cleansed. Rice in southern Hunan can be grown for 3 seasons, but there are many like Jiyuanshan that can only be planted for 2 seasons. Before dawn, Lu Chang'an came to the field with bare feet and a bucket. The soil and weeds scratched the soles of his feet. It feels very comfortable. Occasionally there are raised stones on the diaphragm of the feet, and the slightly cool water in the field submerges the insteps. The soles of the feet sink into the soft mud and are wrapped by the mud coming from all directions. It is comfortable but difficult to breathe. When it came out, the slightly itchy touch made people couldn't help but lift their legs, and water poured into the raised space, making a gurgling sound. Lu Chang'an listened to the sound of the water and distinguished the sound of the fish's tail flapping. He shot extremely quickly and caught a crucian carp. After a short while, Lu Chang'an caught half a bucket of crucian carp, went ashore and returned to the small courtyard, poured all the crucian carp into a large water tank, and poured a bag of salt into it to remove the earthy smell. Then he cut some willow branches from the willow tree by the river and peeled off the bark. After doing this, Lu Chang'an saw Bai Hui coming out of the room and said hello. Bai Hui had 2 bags under his eyes and didn't look like he was sleeping well. Is it possible that you haven't slept all this time and want to listen to something? Lu Chang'an said regretfully for Bai Hui. No, Bai Hui's cheeks were slightly red and she didn't sleep well. There was indeed such a reason, I had 2 nightmares last night, and I couldn't fall asleep. I heard you working blindly in the yard. Just get up. I'll tell Anyuan a story, she should sleep well. Telling stories, Bai Hui wanted to sneer. A man and a woman living in the same room were actually telling stories. Coaxing the kids. But considering that this person is Lu Chang'an, this possibility is really possible. It's the story of a man who lives forever. Haha, if he is immortal, then he must have many women. Lu Chang'an just said this, and of course he was not interested in telling Bai Hui a story. He continued to peel and sharpen the willow branches. In addition to being used for kebabs, willow branches are also good for grilling fish. I'm serious. That's a vampire. In ancient wars, vampires would turn into bats and act as scouts. If you dream about bats, it's probably an early warning. You may never know when a vampire will bite your neck. Bai Hui couldn't help but touch her neck, and then glared at Lu Chang'an angrily. I'm going back to catch up on my sleep. There's no need to wake me up for breakfast. I wouldn't have called you in the first place, Lu Chang'an said strangely. It's not good to disturb other people's sleep. Bai Hui stomped back to the room. After chatting with Miao Yingying last night, Bai Hui did not admit that she had some affection for Lu Chang'an. As expected, she was very honest and not pretentious at all. Lu Chang'an raised his hand and waved towards the slightly opened window next door. And Nuan opened the window a little more, her long hair slanted down, and she showed a somewhat charming and lazy smile. You're flirting with a girl so early in the morning. If I were flirting with you, you would have gritted your teeth and inserted your fingers deeply into the wall, Lu Chang'an said with a smile. No way, I'm going to turn into a vampire and bite you. And Nuan listened to the bat-like conversation between Lu Chang'an and Bai Hui just now, and naturally he wouldn't be angry. What satisfied Nuan the most was Lu Chang'an's words, I won't call you. Really, only girlfriends can be associated with the words wake me up. Bai Hui is too boring. And Nuan is different. She is a truly pure and beautiful girl who always has a slightly shy smile. I'm really immortal. Author, Chu Lian Kui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 172. The morning air seems to be filled with extremely fine fresh beads. Taking a deep breath always makes people feel different. Lu Chang'an looked at Nuan from the window, his soft body leaning against the wall, his white neck hanging lazily, his head tilted, his long hair swaying, looking like a girl who always dressed up in school. It was different, she looked even more silky at this time. Lu Chang'an put down the willow branch in his hand and pushed the door open. And Nuan took 2 steps back, holding the clothes he was going to change into, his cheeks slightly red. What are you doing? I want to know what it feels like to be bitten by a vampire. Quickly turn into a vampire and show me, Lu Chang'an looked at Nuan. In fact, it is difficult for men to resist beautiful girls with long legs. Under Nuan's short pajamas, the slender legs have a strong visual impact. Humph, let me show you my tiger teeth, and you will know how powerful I am. And Nuan bit her lower lip, revealing 2 cute little tiger teeth, and frowned, like a majestic little tiger. It's not powerful at all, but it will increase the enemy's combat effectiveness, desire to win, strength, speed, reaction, and explosive power. Lu Chang'an waved his fists and pounded his chest. I'm about to transform into King Kong. I hate it. Get out now, I need to change clothes. And Nuan laughed out loud. When she was with her boyfriend, her laughter would become weaker. Do you want me to help? I read in many books that the back buckle of a girl's bra catches the flesh, the zipper cannot be pulled up, and the flesh is stuck. It is very dangerous and painful. Just in case, it's better to stay. Lu Chang'an was very helpful. Humph, this happens only to chubby girls like your Bai Fen, of course, and Nuan can't directly say that other girls are fat. That would make him look mean. What a good word for chubby girls. Many boys like meaty ones. Oh, then be careful. If you are in danger, call me immediately. I can break through the wall to help you. After Lu Chang'an finished speaking, he was about to leave, but An Nuan stopped him again. By the way, last night I seemed to have talked about the Kyushu Wind and Thunder swordsman going to sea, and then I fell asleep. What happened next? The Kyushu Fenglai swordsman went to sea this time. He was different from the past when he dug a hole in a piece of wood and used it as a ship. He prepared a fleet, one of which could be called a giant ship, carrying people ranging from 10 to 18 years old. Dozens of singing and dancing girls and maids. 10 years old, and Nuan said in disbelief. It's not like we did anything to her when she was only 10 years old. Let's take care of her first. That's too young, and Nuan said angrily, this is a perversion. In ancient times, women usually got married at the age of 15, mainly between 14 and 18. In the Song dynasty, although some people criticize that women get married at an increasingly younger age, it is also a fact. More people get married at the age of 12 or 13. Gone. The Kyushu Wind and Thunder swordsman just adopted many women with poor backgrounds, none of them are perverted or perverted. He should be called the great pervert of Kyushu Fenglai, and there are dozens of them. Is he going to spread his seeds all over the world? Lu Chang'an coughed lightly. In ancient times, there was a lack of entertainment, so things between men and women became more and more moving. Otherwise, why would there be so many poems about prostitutes, or for prostitutes? Then this Zhu Fenglai swordsman, does he have a favorite girl? What does she look like? When these dozens of girls settle down, he must find one to be the main palace, otherwise there will be so many girls who are jealous and there will be no boss. How can that be done? And Nuan was objectively and realistically thinking about the Kyushu Wind and Thunder swordsman, although she really hoped that the Kyushu Wind and Thunder would strike down and kill the swordsman. Maybe it looks good. So what happened to these girls? They're all dead. Ah. Except for the immortal Kyushu Wind and Thunder swordsman, everyone else will definitely die, so they all died. It turned out to be such an annihilation ending, and Nuan thought depressingly, how many people could survive in the palace fighting drama? In fact, when people fight against each other, there is always a winner or lose, but when people fight against time, there is always a defeat but no victory. Could it be that in the story of the Kyushu Wind and Thunder swordsman, everyone else died and he was the only one left, and then he went to other places and met some new people, and so on, and Nuan felt a little sympathetic to this person. He is a swordsman, so he must be either heartbroken or like a dead tree, and the ancient well will not waver. Yeah, isn't it very romantic? You romantic idiot, go out, I really need to change my clothes. Lu Chang'an went out. The earthy smell of the crucian carp in the water tank has almost gone away. Instead of disemboweling it, I simply cut under the gills to take out the internal organs, rinsed off the fish blood, and then skewered the crucian carp on a willow branch. Those who ate grilled crucian carp in the morning were the classmates who stayed last night. Except for Bai Hui, who was catching up on his sleep. Bai Hui got up again when everyone had finished breakfast, played for a while and was about to leave. Miao Yingying had carefully warned Gao Duai that she had no intention of committing suicide, and Gao Duai believed her. And Nuan's football match today was in the afternoon, and Lu Chang'an went with her. They separated after the game. Although Lu Yuwang originally promised An Nuan not to call and urge her to go home when they were together, something different happened yesterday. Case. I asked a friend of mine yesterday, and he said that you can prevent it for a while, but you can't prevent it for a summer vacation. What's more, if a boy really wants to do those things, he must work hard, think of ways, be deliberate, and seize every opportunity. Lu Yuwang sighed and said helplessly, he said the key is for girls to take protective measures themselves. Even though he was at home, Lu Yuwang still looked around, quickly stuffed it into An Nuan's pocket, then clapped his hands in disgust, breathing a sigh of relief as if he had finally succeeded in framing the blame. She passed by many adult product stores today, but she didn't have the courage to go in. After all, acquaintances might see them, and even strangers would feel ashamed if they saw them. I finally thought of shopping online, and had the courier deliver it to the pickup locker, and then I secretly picked it up myself, even using a backup phone number and a fake name. I don't have to, and Nuan's cheeks were red. Although the mother-daughter relationship was far more like a friend than the mother-daughter relationship in an ordinary family, when her mother started to prepare for her, and Nuan was still okay. Feeling extremely ashamed. Already that, Lu Yuang looked at his precious daughter in surprise. No. As I said, he and I have never even kissed, and Nuan quickly stuffed the box back into Lu Yuang's bag. Lu Yuang seemed to have received a hot potato, so he took it out and threw it to Nuan. The two of them threw it back and forth, and finally threw it into the trash can, finally feeling relieved. Lu Yuang thought to himself, even though there is no kiss now, is falling in love the solution to the problem? It has to be done step by step. Even when solving problems, there is still a way to skip this step. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I'm really immortal. Author, Chulian Kui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 173. Lu Chang'an and Nuan separated outside the Orange Garden community and bought a bottle of orange juice at a convenience store. It was cold and slightly sour in the mouth. Compared with the $2 glass bottle, the $10 bottle of orange juice seemed a bit luxurious, so Lu Chang'an slowly bit the straw and drank. The most annoying thing about Nuan was that when he saw Lu Chang'an drinking the orange juice too slowly, he always wanted to grab it. His drink. Lu Chang'an saw Hans Hizi buying women's daily necessities in a convenience store. Hans Hizi was a little embarrassed, but she didn't hide it. Instead, she pointed at the family planning supplies when the cashier wasn't paying attention. I walked out of the convenience store without buying anything. I won't make an appointment. Lu Chang'an regretfully rejected Hans Hizi. Bah, no wonder Nuan said you opened your mouth to flirt with girls, Hans Hizi scolded. As a boy, you must cherish Nuan. Lu Chang'an smiled. Of course he knew what Hans Hizi meant at the beginning. He just felt that even if Hans Hizi and Nuan had a good relationship, it would not be her turn to talk to him about such things. How inappropriate. Maybe it's my own thinking or a little serious. In fact, in today's daily conversations among boys and girls, these things are no longer taboo or shy. Okay, Lu Chang'an said perfunctorily and looked up at the infertility billboard not far away. Let's go. Bye. Hans Hizi waved her hands, looking very chic and lively. Birds of a feather flock together, and Lu Chang'an feels that Hans Hizi should be a good girl, because Nuan is. But why do I feel that there is pressure around me, or that I should be reminded that I should get closer to Nuan? These things and related behaviors should be natural. Lu Chang'an thought so and suddenly felt a little ashamed. He sped up and went home. While the vegetable market was not closed, he bought 2 pullets at once and returned home. He stuffed it into the carriage and presented it to the Queen Mother. The Queen Mother has something to eat. What will she have for dinner? Lu Chang'an feels that in his long life, what to eat must be the question he thinks about most. However, this question is also quite creative and can make people work hard to come up with countless answers. According to Lu Chang'an's experience, people who think about what to eat every day have better problem-solving abilities and stronger decisiveness. I looked at the refrigerator and saw that there was some rice left before going out in the refrigerator. Let's eat fried rice. Fried rice should originally be made from overnight rice, crushed into grains. Beat a raw egg into the uncooked rice and stir evenly, then fry it with lard made by adding ginger and garlic during frying, and put it in the refrigerator. The remaining vegetables are chopped and fried together, and a poached egg is added at the end. The fried rice is golden and fragrant every grain, and it is a qualified fried rice when every grain rolls in your mouth without being sticky. After eating fried rice, Lu Chang'an received a message from Zhou Shuling, asking him if he was back and asking him for help with something. Lu Chang'an went upstairs. It turned out that the homework was assigned by the kindergarten, and Zhou Shuling couldn't do it. As a newly graduated high school student, Lu Chang'an was naturally a symbol of erudition and versatility. Kindergartens are really sick nowadays. Part of the reason why parents send their children to kindergarten must be that they don't have time to take care of their children, or they are too busy with work. Kindergartens also give out a lot of weird homework. Isn't this causing trouble for parents? Zhou Shuling said depressedly. Zhou Dongdong nodded vigorously. Although he didn't fully understand, he felt that his mother was criticizing the kindergarten. This made Zhou Dongdong, who was often criticized in the kindergarten, very much agree. What's the homework today? Lu Chang'an asked. Can you do the transformation of fruits and vegetables? Zhou Shuling looked at Lu Chang'an expectantly. Zhou Shuling knew that Zhou Dongdong was not a particularly smart child, but children also have self-esteem. The homework she gave in school, if it is too bad, it will lose face. In fact, these homeworks are assigned to parents, so Zhou Shuling has to take the responsibility of maintaining Zhou Dongdong's self-esteem. It's just using fruits and vegetables as materials to make small animals or something, right? Lu Chang'an analyzed. Why is there such a difficult homework? Zhou Dongdong said angrily. He was sure that the whole class would not be able to do it. Zhou Dongdong's anger and opinions were of course ignored. Lu Chang'an went to her refrigerator and found 2 apples and a few finger-sized carrots, which Zhou Shuling sometimes used for breakfast. Be a puppy, Lu Chang'an thought for a while and said. Okay, dogs are the cutest. I like dogs the most. Zhou Dongdong happily ran to the room and took out a puppy doll, but one of its ears was missing. Seeing Lu Chang'an busy, Zhou Shuling smiled slightly and said, then I'll make you some midnight snack. In the more traditional and normal thinking of people, asking for help requires more or less a gift in return. Lu Chang'an nodded and was not polite. Lu Chang'an dug 4 holes into an apple. Zhou Dongdong stuffed all the apple meat he dug out into his mouth. Then under Lu Chang'an's command, he stuffed carrots into the holes, which was regarded as participation. The next step was to peel the remaining apple into a dog head shape. While Lu Chang'an was peeling, Zhou Dongdong picked up the peeled apple on the table and ate it, without wasting any of it. Okay, the apple will oxidize tomorrow, but it doesn't matter. Lu Chang'an fixed the dog's head on the apple's body with toothpicks. Awesome, so cute. Zhou Shuling walked out and took a look. This is the cutest dog in the world, Zhou Dongdong announced loudly. Lu Chang'an watched cartoons with Zhou Dongdong in the living room for a while, and then went back after eating midnight snack. He went to do coffin teaching as usual, and it seemed that since he was discovered last time, those who came to monitor him have not appeared in the community again. I don't know if the words he wrote on the telephone pole had any effect, but in short, if someone doesn't take it seriously, Lu Chang'an will kill the chicken again to scare the monkeys. Since he has given himself a prestigious nickname and no one cares, isn't that right? Very shameless. The next morning, when Lu Chang'an got up and was about to buy chickens, Zhou Dongdong actually got up too. You know, he got up earlier than usual these days. After all, no one in the breakfast business was too lazy to sleep. Zhou Dongdong held a long carrot in his hand, with 2 black beans embedded in a thick section of the carrot. What is this? Lu Chang'an asked. Elephant. Is this an elephant? Lu Chang'an took the carrot and looked around. This is the trunk of the elephant, and this is the eye of the elephant. Zhou Dongdong thought this was very obvious. Brother Chang'an, you idiot, doesn't even recognize the elephant. Lu Chang'an nodded. It turned out that this was an elephant caught by Zhou Dongdong. It was normal for its body, limbs, and ears to be eaten. What about the dog? Lu Chang'an remembered that this must have been some kind of fruit and vegetable transformation last night, probably done by Zhou Shuling for Zhou Dongdong. The dog disappeared, Zhou Dongdong said sadly. The dog was originally placed in the refrigerator, but it disappeared for some reason. My mother said that it was eaten by me. It's not what you ate. Could it be that it ran away on its own? Yes, the dog ran away. It ran into your belly. How do I know? Lu Chang'an stared at Zhou Dongdong, not knowing what she was trying to do. Sorry, I was supposed to do the third update last night, but I ended up being so tired that I couldn't hold on even after drinking coffee, so I got up in the middle of the night and started coding. Please give me a monthly pass. Zhou Dongdong hasn't had a monthly pass for a long time. I'm really immortal. Author, Chulian Kui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 174. The dog was eaten, and Zhou Dongdong took the elephant to school. Lu Chang'an and Zhou Shuling still went to sell fans. Today Lu Chang'an fired 2 big roosters. After all, the business is getting better and better, and Lu Chang'an is one step closer to his small goal of saving money to rent a shop and open a store. Last night in the middle of the night, Zhou Dongdong was probably hungry, so she went to the refrigerator to find something to eat when she got up. When I woke up, I saw her standing at the door of the refrigerator and eating the apple dog you made. After eating, she went back by herself. I went to bed, but when I woke up in the morning, I didn't even remember that I had eaten it. I cried for a long time, saying that the dog ran away. Zhou Shuling explained to Lu Chang'an embarrassedly, I had to make that thing again for her. You always feel a little ashamed when you ask someone for help, only to lose what they made in the end. Of course, Zhou Shuling was also embarrassed about her hands-on ability. The elephant she made must have been destroyed by Zhou Dong. Dong took it to show to Lu Chang'an. It's not sleepwalking, right? Lu Chang'an remembered what Zhu Huntang said about Qinyan and sleepwalking. That's not true. She was just looking for food when she was hungry. She was so confused that she forgot what dogs are used for. How can she eat so well? I don't know either. Are you also very good at eating? How can I? I have only made a few more midnight snacks recently. You see, I am not fat. Zhou Shuling hurriedly turned around to prove that she could not eat, because being able to eat often means that round. Lu Chang'an nodded, it's great if you can eat without getting fat. Zhou Shuling was helpless and was about to say something when she saw that the beautiful girl with glasses who had come here to get fans in the past few days brought another girl to get fans, and she quickly pushed Lu Chang'an. Do you want to eat fans? Lu Chang'an said to Zhongqing and Zhu Huntang. I don't want to be a fan here, am I here to see you? Zhu Huntang looked at Zhou Shuling first, and then said to Lu Chang'an. Would you like to add eggs? Lu Chang'an smiled brightly. When doing business, of course he must treat guests with a smile. He didn't care about Zhu Huntang's tone and expression. Add, Zhongqing said. Zhu Huntang nodded slowly. Zhongqing took out a set of bowls from the food box he was carrying and said to Lu Chang'an, please use this bowl to hold rice noodles and this plate to hold eggs. Satisfying customers is the foundation of doing business. Of course, you have to comply with small requests. Lu Chang'an has no objection. A few more people came and moved a table to the flattest place, put 2 chairs on it, and opened a large C-shaped parasol before Zhu Huntang walked over and sat down. Zhou Shuling looked at it with her eyes open and couldn't help but ask Lu Chang'an, what is this for? The bad habits of rich people, Lu Chang'an said nonchalantly, this is the daughter of the lady who came to eat fans 2 days ago. I thought that lady was about the same age as me. Zhou Shuling was surprised, I didn't expect her daughter to be so old. So you have to start a business partnership with me honestly and make more money so that you can take good care of it. Otherwise, when Zhou Dongdong is as old as this fairy, you will be old and ugly, Lu Chang'an took the opportunity to say. Lu Chang'an's words were too unpleasant, but they were also very reasonable. Zhou Shuling secretly made up her mind. Lu Chang'an made the powder and sent it over. How can you press the edge of the bowl with your fingertips? Zhu Huntang raised his eyebrows suspiciously, see if your fingertips are stained with soup. Eat if you like, leave if you don't. Lu Chang'an changed his face. Zhongqing had already paid the money anyway, and he had no intention of developing Zhu Huntang into a long-term customer. Do you talk like this in business? Zhu Huntang is here to take care of Lu Chang'an's business today. He is his customer. Zhu Huntang has never eaten at such a roadside stall. I am condescending and sit here by myself. Is a living sign for him to attract business. When others see the beautiful fairy, they will come to eat his fans, which will definitely make his business prosperous. He has such an attitude. Didn't you hear that? Of course Lu Chang'an ignored Zhu Huntang and said to Zhongqing, I added a little more chopped green onion to your bowl today. I saw you particularly like eating chopped green onion a few days ago. Thank you, Zhongqing said, a little flattered, and then felt a little depressed. She actually felt this way because Lu Chang'an gave her a handful of green onions. Is she really a powerful and realistic woman? Probably because the third wife and the third young lady cared so much about Lu Chang'an. I couldn't help but think of Lu Chang'an as a scoundrel all the time. Why did you add more green onions to her? Zhu Huntang asked in disbelief, looking at Lu Chang'an and Zhongqing suspiciously. She has been coming to my place for breakfast for several days, and she pays every time. This is a real customer, and a high-quality customer. She eats cleanly every day, never talks nonsense, and is not as busy as you. Lu Chang'an admires such customers very much. Thank you. Zhongqing felt a little shy when Lu Chang'an praised him so much. I also want more chopped green onion. Zhu Huntang felt that what Lu Chang'an said was very reasonable, but he was not convinced and had to ask for chopped green onion. Lu Chang'an went to add a spoonful of chopped green onion to Zhu Huntang. Zhu Huntang looked at the expressionless Lu Chang'an and had no sense of accomplishment in forcing him to give him fair treatment. Lu Chang'an went back to make noodles. Not surprisingly, business today was much stronger than on the first day. Zhou Shuling basically just sold breakfast by the way. The two of them were busy making noodles and selling them. Zhou Shuling was always a capable person. After a few days, the cooperation with Lu Chang'an became much smoother. Seeing that in addition to the original regular customers, there are always many people who seem to have good incomes who often come to eat fans. This makes Zhou Shuling even more confident about entering Bailong Center. You don't seem to have a very good attitude towards that lady. We will have to sell fans at Bailong Center in the future. Zhou Shuling chatted with Lu Chang'an, and they had already made up their minds. Of course, they had to consider practical issues. That's right, Lu Chang'an nodded. Seeing that he obviously didn't take it seriously, Zhou Shuling couldn't say much. She was not the kind of person who always bowed her head to reality. Otherwise, how could she still be single now? Although it is not easy for a woman with children to remarry, if she is willing to make do with it and force herself, she will not really be wanted by anyone. Zhu Huntang hesitated for a long time, and had been watching Zhongqing eating noodles. She finally started to take off her chopsticks. As soon as she took a bite, she burst into tears and shouted, Zhongqing. Zhongqing hurriedly went to the car to get water and handed it to Zhu Huntang. Zhu Huntang would not drink the mineral water sold at the stall for 2 yuan a bottle. Why is it so spicy? Zhu Huntang had to worry about his image, and it was too spicy. He drank a bottle of water frequently in small sips and asked with moist eyes. It's a bit spicy. I forgot to remind you, Zhongqing grew up in Junsha. Even though he hasn't eaten much spicy food in Taiwan in the past few years, eating this kind of taste now is like regaining the genes in his body. Just like the activation of joy, eating spicy food also requires a leisurely stroll. This is poison, you will die if you eat it, Zhu Huntang said with lingering fear. The other fans around laughed. Of course, no one would think that the powder was poisonous. This beautiful girl had pink and moist cheeks. Under the slanting sunlight, the edge of her skirt seemed to be filled with golden light. She was well proportioned. And her slender legs were tightly pressed together even when she cried. Her ladylike demeanor made the men on the street feel the charm of the eldest lady. This was a poison-like temptation that made people sigh. The sun in the plateau area is really scorching. Yesterday I refused to put on sunscreen and go out for a swim. When I came back, I felt like a cooked shrimp, tingling all over my body. It took me a whole night. It's a little better today. There will be an update in the evening. I'm really immortal. Author, Chulian Kuikan Rusiahua. Chapter 175. Zhu Huntang did not dare to touch the bowl of spicy rooster rice noodles with red soup, and could only watch Zhongqing eating with gusto. After looking at it for a while, Zhu Huntang looked at the rice noodles in his bowl with some hesitation. Is it really so delicious? This must be an illusion caused by seeing other people's appetite. I just tasted it with my own mouth. This is rice noodles that will kill people. It's better not to try it again. Just like radish and cabbage, everyone has their own preferences. His poisonous weeds are my fairy weeds. Many people are accustomed to setting a standard based on their own tastes and opinions to measure the success of other people's works or products that have a wide audience. This is undoubtedly an inexplicable and stupid behavior. Of course, for someone as beautiful and lovely as Zhu Huntang, that is the only standard that applies to everyone. She is a fairy. Zhu Huntang thinks so. She thinks this is an extremely correct understanding and is not stupid at all. Anyone who doubts that she is not a fairy and their ideas are stupid. Zhu Huntang was a little bored. It was really a mistake to decide to eat rice noodles today. The fairy should sit in a restaurant above the clouds and taste the meals carefully prepared by top chefs. Sitting on this kind of plastic stool on the street, there is a greasy folding table in front of me. From time to time, cars throw off exhaust fumes, and people riding electric cars stagger, sway left and right, and shout, "Rang rang," squeezed past the table, making people have to pick up the bowl and avoid it carefully. If the oily soup and noodles dripped out, they would feel distressed if they ate half of their breakfast, and they would worry if their clothes were stained. This is what ordinary people are like city life? I really have no expectations at all. Anyone who describes the daily life of ordinary people as happy and warm is probably pretentious and hypocritical. Zhu Huntang felt that he would never have any expectations for the life of ordinary people. Lu Chang'an should be able to leave this shabby place and give up this kind of life. Why would he still be a rice noodle seller here? Zhu Huntang was puzzled, but she became more convinced of something. Lu Chang'an was selling rice noodles, which showed that he had the desire to make money, and the reason why he refused Zhu Huntang's solicitation must be because he was a liar. If he really accepts Zhu Huntang's recruitment as a superpower, when he is exposed, he will be beaten into a stick by Zhu Huntang. As for why they don't make money through magic, it's probably because the cost is too high, or it's immature, or other unknown reasons. In short, Zhu Huntang was still very unwilling to be deceived by Lu Chang'an for so long. He came to see him today, feeling a little unhappy, but he didn't know what to do. "Seller of rice noodles," Zhu Huntang shouted to Lu Chang'an, "come here." Lu Chang'an has no time and is too lazy to deal with this kind of homeless people. The world is really declining. When will this kind of homeless people who are industrious and have no regard for food and crops can feel confident and arrogant in front of the great and glorious working people? Zhu Huntang stamped his feet. This hypocritical man, since he likes to sell rice noodles here, shouldn't he be happy if he calls him that? Zhu Huntang remembered that in Mei's private interview, the protagonist was still the emperor. When he was mistaken for Turtle Gong, he looked very happy and was very proud of himself for being able to integrate into the role of a commoner. After all, Lu Chang'an still did not have this kind of realm. Seeing Lu Chang'an's lack of reaction, Zhou Shuling figured out that Lu Chang'an was very familiar with him, so it was impossible for him to ask Lu Chang'an to sell rice noodles. Could it be that he was calling her? Zhou Shuling didn't mind, anyway. Most people called her to sell breakfast or steamed buns, so Zhou Shuling walked over and asked with a smile, "What's the matter?" Zhu Huntang did not expect to attract Zhou Shuling. He immediately changed his expression and smiled slightly. "Hello, are you Zhou Dongdong's mother? My surname is Zhu Huntang. Do you still know Zhou Dongdong?" Zhou Shuling was very surprised. "I am her mother. My name is Zhou Shuling." People may not care what their name is, but the little girl looks very good looking and doesn't have any bad habits, so Zhou Shuling also introduced herself. "Ms. Zhou, Lu Chang'an brought Zhou Dongdong to my house to play. She really liked the aquarium in the living room. If she comes to play again when she has time, I can send someone to pick her up." There was not much smile on Zhu Huntang's face, but there is enthusiasm and sincerity revealed in a touch of reserve, because Zhu Huntang really likes Zhou Dongdong. Zhou Dongdong has wisdom and eyes that are unmatched by ordinary people. It can be seen at a glance that Zhu Huntang is a real fairy. Blind men like Lu Chang'an are extremely stupid. "Ms. Zhou." This was the first time that Zhou Shuling was addressed in such a formal manner, which made her a little awkward. But what was even more surprising was, the aquarium in the living room. Shouldn't that thing be in a place like the underwater world? If it's convenient, it would be even better if Ms. Zhou could come and play with the lovely little boy Zhou Dongdong. Zhu Huntang continued to invite enthusiastically. Zhu Huntang wants Lu Chang'an to feel the charm of his personality. When he finds that the people around him are particularly fond of beautiful fairies, will he start to doubt his own vision? I began to reflect on why I was rude and arrogant to such a beloved little fairy, and then I was hit by it, and I realized again the incomparable charm of Zhu Huntang. Thinking like this, Zhu Huntang felt a little happy. Goodbye. Zhu Huntang didn't eat any noodles either. He waited for Zhongqing to finish eating, then waved his hands in the elegant and reserved way of a wealthy lady, nodded slightly, and turned around with a slight smile on his lips. In many scenes, when the camera changes, such a woman's face will often show indifference, even cruelty, and various completely different expressions. Of course Zhu Huntang didn't. She kept laughing. She felt that her performance today was very good and allowed Lu Chang'an to see her charm in front of others. Zhou Shuling waved her hand and watched Zhu Huntang leave, then turned around and said to Lu Chang'an, "This third lady seems to be much more approachable than her mother. She is a nice person, polite, elegant, and well educated." "Well, I can see it too. Zhou Dongdong is up to you." Lu Chang'an nodded. "Of course she will follow me, and of course my daughter will follow me," Zhou Shuling said matter-of-factly, but also a little confused. "What do you mean?" Zhou Dongdong would be cheated out of a lot of delicious food, and Zhou Shuling even made a good impression on her with just a few polite words. Lu Chang'an found out without emotion that they could even use Zhu Huntang's despicable bribery methods. It's a sign of stupidity. It definitely doesn't mean innocent and lively here. As expected, like mother, like daughter. All kinds of requests. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I'm really immortal. Author, Chulian Kui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 176. After Zhu Huntang and Zhongqing left, a few people who were just passing by and looking at Zhu Huntang and Zhongqing also came to eat rice noodles. After all, no matter what Lu Chang'an thinks of rich people, in reality rich people do have things that people can imitate and following influence. The vast majority of people have no independent thinking, aesthetics, or taste. Assimilating into a certain circle or having the same social behavior as certain people is the common or even the only way for them to gain recognition and satisfaction. For example, celebrity endorsement of products is the most widespread manifestation of this effect, and now it is more commonly manifested in the internet celebrity effect. In fact, Lu Chang'an is also taking advantage of this. He is also very happy to see young and beautiful girls coming to take photos with him, Because they obviously learned about him on Weibo and will spread his rice fans, causing some people to be angry. Chase. Maybe after a while, there will be people who obviously can't adapt to this extremely spicy rice noodles, but they will come over and order one, take a few photos and send them to Moments, so as to gain that sense of integration and experience. After a while, another acquaintance came. Want to eat noodles? Lu Chang'an said to Gao Qunyi, 12 yuan with fried eggs. Gao Qunyi did not express surprise that Lu Chang'an was selling rice noodles. He just hesitated and said, "Can you not add eggs? I don't like eggs." Of course Lu Chang'an nodded. Gao Qunyi scans the QR code to pay. When were you discharged from the hospital? Lu Chang'an asked. Yesterday. It shouldn't be. Lu Chang'an was confused as he shook the net and said, "I didn't do it too hard. I think you can rest for 3 to 5 days. Your strength and physique are far beyond ordinary people, so you have spared my self-esteem, but you have not noticed that my physique is not strong enough to withstand your strength." Gao Qunyi said it as if he was not beaten and hospitalized for so long. Com analysis. That's it. Lu Chang'an expressed understanding. Sorry, Gao Dui and I are classmates. I didn't know you were his cousin, otherwise I should have been more careful. It doesn't matter, we won't get to know each other if we don't fight. I have always admired my cousin. People who even admire him are naturally great. It's good to be beaten by someone who is great, Gao Qunyi said seriously. Lu Chang'an is Gao Dui's classmate, which is what Gao Dui told him when he went to see Gao Qunyi. This logic is worthy of being Gao Dui's cousin. Lu Chang'an soaked the rice noodles and put them on the table. He did not leave immediately, but sat opposite Gao Qunyi. Gao Qunyi thought Lu Chang'an was waiting for him to taste it, so he took a bite immediately. It was unexpectedly spicy. After eating a few chopstick noodles, he immediately exclaimed, "It's so spicy. This is the taste of the local rice noodles I had when I was a kid. Today's noodles don't have this spiciness at all. Where is your master? A crime has been committed. Now he is on bail pending trial," Gao Qunyi said sadly. "What happened?" "I just found out that my master is one of the biggest underworld leaders in Junsha. He has a lot of shady properties and income in his name. Even though he can still be released on bail pending trial, my dad said that someone wants to bail him out. There are also people who want to punish him, which is why we are in this situation, but he will definitely get in the end, because the people who want to punish him are too powerful, and the people who protect him are just doing their best." Lu Chang'an nodded, seeing that Gao Qunyi was still able to take care of himself, but the reason why he took care of himself was probably not just because he did not participate in Pu Shaojian's shady things. How is his health? Lu Chang'an didn't care at all whether Pu Shaojian had to accept the late trial. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that he suffered a big mental and psychological blow. But who made him do it? Gao Qunyi let out a long sigh. My father said, there is no whitewashing. If the foundation is dark, the surface is cleansed. To put it bluntly, if someone turns you upside down one day, you will still have a dark foundation. Well, unless no one comes to turn it over. Lu Chang'an tapped his fingers on the table. He understood that he had overlooked something before. He thought it was normal strength. Gao Qunyi couldn't bear it. When he was fighting with Pu Shaojian, he used the force he exerted was much greater than when he slapped Gao Qunyi. Although Pu Shaojian was defeated, he was able to withstand the force he used at that time. Logically speaking, even if Pu Shaojian had practiced Kung Fu for 10 or 20 years more than Gao Qunyi, his physical fitness would not be able to surpass a level of tyranny. When it comes to physical fitness, Wang Yubo, who was kicked by Lu Chang'an, is stronger than Pu Shaojian. But Wang Yubo is still lying in the hospital. Why is Pu Shaojian okay? Although Lu Chang'an did not want to kill him, if Pu Shaojian had normal physical fitness, it would be inevitable to be in the hospital now. Neglected, neglected. Lu Chang'an had no regrets or annoyance. He noticed it. Of course he was careful and he was negligent. Of course, the other party was not worth caring about. But he still wanted to take a look. Lu Chang'an asked Gao Qunyi some things about Pu Shaogang, chatted for a while and then continued to sell rice noodles. After all, selling rice noodles is a very important thing. Lu Chang'an was free in the afternoon. When he returned home, he took out the rattan book box under the bed, patted the box, gently rubbed the handle, pressed both ends to open it, and took out the contents one by one. He took it out, spread it neatly on the bed, and took out a linen top, a pair of black trousers and a pair of mil-layer cloth shoes that were pressed under the box. The folds of the top are neat, and after shaking, they are still very smooth. The pants were measured against the waist, and they fit well. The shoes are just right, and the tops of a few toes are on top. It feels very lively. Lu Chang'an changed his clothes and drove out in the civilian armored transport vehicle. Of course he didn't find it convenient to drive out, he just needed a place to straighten his face. It was easier to do things with a different face. Lu Chang'an felt that he had been negligent in doing things before, but now of course he had to be more careful in order to review his mood. With everything prepared, Lu Chang'an became an old-school intellectual common in the 1980s and 1990s. In fact, he likes this outfit very much. In fact, many old scientists, experts, and academicians often wear this outfit now. He arrived outside Pu Shaojian's martial arts gym, stepping on the slanting sunlight. Many of Pu Shaojian's properties have been sealed up. If he committed a crime at this time, you can imagine who was behind it. His martial arts gym has been closed, but the martial arts gym is also his residence. When Lu Chang'an slowly walked outside Pu Shaojian's martial arts gym, he felt that the courtyard surrounded by bamboo and water had an extra sense of peace and tranquility. In this era, there is nothing wrong with grabbing it and making it your own. Nowadays, everyone must talk about fairness, justice, democracy, and the rule of law. Of course, we can't mess around like this. Lu Chang'an knocked on the door, but after no one responded, he broke the door and walked in. At the request of a book friend, if you need me to ask for monthly tickets in a fancy way, then my whole body will burst into flames, and I will punch out a dragon's power to split the sky and dominate the sky, flash the phantom, and shout loudly, "Sword monthly tickets are here." Even though the word Jianyupiaola is very confusing and even illogical, you might as well give it a shout, it's quite impressive. Something magical will happen tomorrow. I'm really immortal. Author, Chulian Kui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 177. The door panel collapsed and trembled several times. The sound echoed in the courtyard, and a burst of broken leaves and dust arose on the ground. The bamboo leaves fell on the ground, starting from the gray at the edges, with a few green spots remaining in the middle, like the skin of an old man with a lifeless look. Lu Chang'an stood in the center of the courtyard, his voice neither loud nor quiet, but changing naturally, mature but not vicissitudes of life, full of penetration. "Yechinayu is here to visit." Calling himself Yechinayu was, of course, a test to see if Pu Shaogang would react to this name. Pu Shaogang walked out, wearing a pair of cloth shoes that looked similar to Lu Chang'an's. They were also black trousers and cloth shoes. Pu Shaojian's cloth shoes have cowhide cloud patterns on the front and the soles are wrapped with layers of soft rubber. They look much more exquisitely made than Lu Chang'an's. His expression was slightly tired, as if the last energy of the middle-aged man had faded away, revealing the decadence of old age. But it was obvious that he had not suffered any unbearable injuries. His steps were still strong, his waist was straight, and his shoulders swayed naturally. Pu Shaogang glanced at the broken door and said coldly, "When a tiger falls and is bullied by a dog, who are you?" "You haven't heard of Yechinayu?" Lu Chang'an was a little disappointed. He originally thought that Pu Shaogang had something different from ordinary people, or that he had contact with some Mrs. Karnstein who hid behind his back and dared not see anyone. Then there was, you may know the name Yechinayu. You have heard of my name, but I don't know who you are. Pu Shaogang still showed a hint of arrogance. He is a hero in the martial arts world after all. Even today, he has no intention of cowardly letting cats and dogs humiliate him. Oh, I am Yechinayu, who is ranked 5th in the world. It's so cold at high places. It's understandable that I'm an ant at the foot of the mountain and doesn't know who's standing at the top. Lu Chang'an understood it very well. Number 5 in the world, Pu Shaogang felt that he had encountered a lunatic today. I also have a nickname called Death. Have you heard of it? I made it myself. Grim Reaper. The white jade capital in the sky, 5 cities on the 12th floor, 96 sage kings, the sword is the enemy of thousands of people, my name is hanging on the floating clouds, it is me, this is Li Bai's poem praising me. Lu Chang'an pointed to the top of his head, immortal caressing my head, nodding my hair and receiving immortality, it was Li Bai who met me and I taught him some cultivation methods. Yechinayu, you are 40 years old, why are you so frivolous and casual? It's understandable for a teenager to lie. Have you just come out of a mental hospital? Do you want me to send you back for treatment? Pu Shaogang was angry in his heart and thought about it. Who would not be solemn and dignified when seeing him, and would dare to talk nonsense to him so frivolously and casually? Lu Chang'an gave a lot of hints and clues that arouse imagination. It seems that Pu Shaogang really doesn't know more about the hidden magical people in the world, and he is really a little disappointed. Then let me touch you. Pu Shaogang was furious and couldn't bear it anymore. He jumped up and landed in front of Lu Chang'an. He pretended to lift his leg to sweep, but he hit a punch at his side and hit Lu Chang'an's chest with a violent and swift force. This kind of strength is astonishing. If an ordinary person receives such a punch, he will not die but will be disabled. It is so cruel. Lu Chang'an feels very calm and casually holds Pu Shaogan's fist and twists it. Pu Shaogang screamed, his whole arm twisted like a twist, and his body turned around in the air, like a caught fish, and then flopped to the floor, swinging and struggling. Lu Chang'an turned a blind eye to Pu Shaogan's struggle. He squatted down and pinched Pu Shaogan's broken arm, pinched his intact arm, poked his chest, and dug a finger into Pu Shaogan's abdomen, hooking the abdominal organs. It's really ordinary human beings who have gained some kind of opportunity to transform or evolve their bodies. Lu Chang'an went to the pool in the corner of the yard to wash his hands, and then came back. Pu Shaogang stopped wailing after the severe pain. His eyes finally showed a look of horror. With one intact hand, he pulled the piece of cloth and tightly covered the finger holes in his abdomen. He knew that his life was not in danger, and the other party had no intention of killing him. He just found a place in his abdomen that would not stab him to death, inserted a hole with his finger, and went in to feel his internal organs. But this kind of behavior is really scary, especially Yechinayu's simple calmness when doing these things, without even a hint of indifference, which makes Pu Shaogang feel like he is like a piece of pork on the chopping board in front of him, picking and choosing. Picking, gesticulating, and casually cutting off 1.5 pounds. The other party spared his life because he was treating him as a human being, but when he was treated as a human being, he would still deal with him so calmly. This, together with those crazy murderers who regard human life as nothing, made Pu Shaogang feel even more terrible. A butcher who kills pigs, or a professional surgeon, who is more terrifying between these two people who are ready to kill you? What made Pu Shaogang even more chilly and ironic was that he thought he had a certain strength, but in front of the opponent, he was like a buzzing mosquito, slapping him to the ground with one slap. This was a what kind of power level? Why are you so powerful? Tell me. Lu Chang'an squatted in front of Pu Shaogang. It's that kind of slouching posture with your legs spread apart and your hands hanging by your legs. If I were humming powerful, I would chop you to death first. Pu Shaogen knew how powerful the other party was, but he was not so cowardly that he did not even dare to curse in his heart. Pu Shaogen endured the severe pain in his body, with cold sweat on his forehead. What do you want to know? I want to know why you are so powerful. Lu Chang'an persuaded, you'd better not waste time. Send me away as soon as possible. You can also go to the hospital early. It's not good to delay. I took a medicine that can enhance my physical fitness. Pu Shaogen knew that in the things he encountered, Mrs. Karnstein had no intention of helping at all. In the eyes of this lady, he could just give up at any time. A chess piece left to fend for itself. In this case, how could he keep any secrets for her? He is a man named Pu Shaogen, so whatever he does is understandable. What medicine? Urgent syrup, Lu Chang'an reminded him to keep the story short. I don't know, it's a lady named Karnstein. I don't know what the potion she gave me is called, but taking it can directly improve my physical fitness and make ordinary people like me stronger. Pu Shaogen, to be honest, he knew that this medicine must be extremely precious. Although he looked much older on the outside due to his poor mental state, Pu Shaogen even felt younger on the inside. Only people who are no longer young know how hungry they are for the feeling of youth, so they are very sure that their physical condition is much younger. Pu Shaogen also told Yechinayu this, presumably Yechinayu will also be very hungry, so he will be prompted to find Mrs. Karnstein. If both sides can lose, even if Pu Shaogen does not get any direct benefits, that is a good thing. I'm really immortal. Author, Chu Lian Kui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 178. It's Mrs. Karnstein again. Lu Chang'an has heard this name often recently. This must be a magical potion obtained by a mysterious creature combined with modern science. Sure enough, modern science is quite amazing, Lu Chang'an said with great appreciation. It is not that he has not done experiments in this area, but there is no doubt that he can do it alone. And no actual progress was made. During his time as Professor Lu, he also published some papers and achieved some scientific research results, but in the end his achievements were limited. The methods he determined to improve the physical fitness of ordinary people still required a lot of effort on his part. For a certain price, the other party could use a potion to do it. Of course, the effect of Lu Chang'an's hard work on improving the physical fitness of ordinary people is far beyond the effect of taking a little potion. As for Mrs. Karnstein, Lu Chang'an has already learned some information from Li Hongfang and Pu Shaogen. She has her own power and team, and she must be very wealthy. You must know that in modern scientific research, especially in the field of life medicine, large consortiums are. We will not be stingy with investment. Only by investing tens of billions of dollars in these fields can we achieve breakthroughs and achieve results that satisfy those investors. Could this Mrs. Karnstein, who has the same name as the famous vampire, really be a vampire? In Lu Chang'an's view, it is impossible for the ghosts and gods in myths and legends to have the power to reach the sky and the earth. It is also impossible for the princes and duke-level vampires who also have the power to reach the sky and the earth, which were common in online novels before 2010, to truly possess with such power. As for the blood ancestor who fought against Buddha, Bodhisattva, and Sanking, it would be even more nonsense. But vampires may not exist. In the history of biological evolution, it is not too absurd for species to appear in the history of biological evolution that sees the vitality and blood of other creatures to obtain longer lives and stronger bodies. The little girl from Shangguan's family is an example, although she seems to rely on that magical body coffin. Apart from the little girl from the Shangguan family and her coffin, what Lu Chang'an is most interested in right now is Mrs. Karnstein. She has extremely rich resources and influence. Ordinary people in the sphere of influence try to obtain life and abilities beyond ordinary people, or she is a creature like a vampire, trying to use her special abilities to obtain abundant resources and influence. Areas of influence. Lu Chang'an will not judge others by himself. Because he is full of curiosity about the future, Being an immortal with a peaceful and comfortable mentality may not be the norm. If there are immortal species like vampires, how will they face the world? Lu Chang'an does not sure. But judging from what Mrs. Karnstein is doing now, it seems that she is not on the same road as Lu Chang'an. They have different paths, do not conspire with each other, and sometimes even have to fight. Lu Chang'an is not mentally prepared, because when he faces many things, he just takes advantage of the situation, and there is no psychological excitement, fear, expectation, or the tense emotions need to be calmed down. This Mrs. Karnstein, do you know more about her? Lu Chang'an pinched Pu Xiaojian's broken arm. He is not torturing Pu Xiaogang. On the contrary, he is worried that the pain will affect Pu Xiaojian's thinking, and is using special techniques to relieve Pu Xiaojian's pain. Of course, the arm is still useless, and there is nothing that can be done about it. Who makes Pu Xiaogang fly into a rage as soon as he comes up? If Pu Xiaogang had been honest and prepared for Lu Chang'an to disembowel him from the beginning, there wouldn't have been so much pain. Lu Chang'an would have helped him with stitches and repairs instead of roughly digging a small hole in his abdomen. I don't know much about her. I only know that she is very powerful. She controls many large consortiums, large companies, and top scientific research institutions. She also has extensive influence in the political power of some countries. Pu Xiaogang looked at the people in front of him. Yechinayu, this person is extremely powerful, but he seems to have just come out of some isolated world. His vision does not match his level of power. He does not even know Mrs. Karnstein. He said that he was the fifth in the world. Of course Pu Xiaogang just thought he was talking nonsense at first, but now he has realized that Yechinayu is beyond ordinary people's strength. Pu Xiaogang felt that the power of Yechinayu even far exceeded the one who defeated him that day. Lu Chang'an. When facing Lu Chang'an, Pu Xiaogang at least fought back and forth a lot. Even though Lu Chang'an was able to do it with ease, it was already a long time before he finally defeated Pu Xiaogang. However, the Yechinayu in front of him won with one blow, and Pu Xiaogang had no chance of winning. How can such a person be so unknown? How come Mrs. Karnstein doesn't even know about such a person? Such a person claims to be fifth in the world, so who are the first, second, third, and fourth? 5. The number 5, Pu Xiaogang always felt that he wanted to connect this number with some key information. I want to meet her, can you help me contact her? Lu Chang'an looked at Pu Xiaojian's twinkling pupils expectantly. I have no choice. Even her subordinates are separated from her by many levels. Only when her subordinates come to me can I know what she wants from me, and her subordinates will not let me take the initiative to contact her. Pu Xiaogang said unwillingly, for her, I am not even qualified to be a pawn in her sphere of influence. This kind of person is so annoying, isn't it? Lu Chang'an also nodded with great approval. This kind of person should be baptized by the wave of proletarian revolution and let her fall from the position she thinks she is superior to. She is a foreigner, how can she accept our tricks? In the eyes of these foreigners, class must be stable. Pu Xiaogang endured the pain and chatted with Yechinayu in front of him. Although his massage had already made Pu Xiaogang I felt much better, but it was impossible to eliminate all the pain just like that. Pu Xiaogang was also a little worried that this man might be moody, so he had to follow his words. Then it seems that I can only let her come to me on her own initiative. Lu Chang'an thought to himself that Mrs. Karnstein had actually targeted him, but she did not come forward in person and remained behind the scenes. Lu Chang'an wanted to meet her in person and see her. As for the people under her, how powerful she was, and what her purpose was, Lu Chang'an had no interest in these things at all. But there is no clue to find this lady. It feels much more difficult than entering the palace to see the emperor and the emperor's beautiful concubines. You can try to contact Mrs. Karnstein through the third wife, Pu Xiaogang thought, and suddenly realized a shocking possibility. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I'm really immortal. Author, Chulian Kuikin Ru Siahua. Chapter 179. Sorry, it's just that the chapter name of 178 was changed to 179. The content of the chapter is correct. Pu Xiaogang thought of another 5 from the 5 in Yechaniu who is 5th in the world, because Mrs. Karnstein and the third wife are both one of this 5. Yechaniu claims to be the 5th in the world. Is he also one of the 5? The number 5 has a strong special meaning. In Chinese vocabulary, from yi, 2 represents heaven and earth, and yi means interlacing. The original meaning is that the yin and yang of heaven and earth are crisscrossed. Su Shen's Shuowen records, 5, yin and yang meet at noon between heaven and earth. Therefore, many times the control system for a certain balance in the world is 5. For example, the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council are 5, not 6, nor 4. It just so happened that I had never heard of that full name, but Pu Xiaogang had heard of the 5 permanent persons by chance. They were also 5 people. If the power of Yechaniu in front of him was not too shocking and he claimed to be the 5th in the world, Pu Xiaogang would not be associated with him. What's more, even if he guessed wrong, it would not be harmful to him to lead Yechaniu to contact someone like the third wife. Anyway, both Mrs. Karnstein and the third wife had given up on him. How could the situation be worse? The third wife is the third wife of the Zhu family. She is the agent of a mysterious figure and belongs to the same mysterious organization as Mrs. Karnstein. Pu Xiaogang tried hard to control his heart from beating violently. Once people's thinking spreads out, they can connect a lot of information. Since Yechaniu may be one of the 5, but does not know Mrs. Karnstein, could it be that the most powerful person in the legend, the most mysterious one who disappeared? Only in this case do all the horrifying things seem reasonable and justified. What Pu Xiaogang is not sure about now is that he does not know what level of strength a person of Mrs. Karnstein's level has reached, whether Yechaniu in front of him has reached it, and if Yechaniu is a 5-year-old one of them, then it can only be the most powerful, mysterious, and unknown one, but that is the number 1 in the world, not the 5th in the world. All these are just conjectures in Pu Xiaogang's mind and cannot be made accurately, but Pu Xiaogang really wants to see his conjecture confirmed. The third wife of the Zhu family in Taiwan. Lu Chang'an looked slightly surprised. You said she is the agent of a mysterious person? In such a capacity, she communicates with Mrs. Karnstein and participates in a certain matter on an equal basis. What activities and affairs? This person also knew the Zhu family in Tadao, otherwise Pu Xiaogang would really think that he had been living in some isolated place. Yes, since he is a mysterious figure, of course I don't know him. As for whether he can be equal to Mrs. Karnstein, I am not sure. The third wife doesn't seem to care much about Mrs. Karnstein, but Mrs. Karnstein is herself after all. Being in a high position is different from being the third wife's agent. Maybe Mrs. Karnstein's strength and status are actually higher. Pu Xiaogang analyzed. Lu Chang'an expressed his understanding. You mean, if I can deal with the third wife, then by contacting Mrs. Karnstein, the third wife will definitely be able to help, right? Yes. Pu Xiaogang didn't secretly sneer at the other party's loud tone. He could handle the third wife, unless you are really one of the 5 that Pu Xiaogang guessed. Then you're useless, right? Lu Chang'an let go of Pu Xiaogang's arm and still squatted in front of him. This sentence immediately made Pu Xiaogang's heart tighten. Did the other party plan to kill him and silence him after he revealed the information he needed to know? Pu Xiaogang's life was originally in the opponent's hands, but after talking for so long, he always felt that the opponent had no reason or emotion to kill him, and he couldn't help but have some hope of surviving. Since you are of no use, I won't bother you. If I need consultation on any details, I will come back to you. Of course, I heard that you are going to jail, so I will not contact you again. You should be a good person. Reform yourself and don't do bad things in the future. Lu Chang'an considered himself to be a person of high moral character, and of course he would not kill people casually. He just wanted to confirm that Pu Shaogang was indeed of no use to him. When he reached the door, Lu Chang'an stopped again. Pu Shaogang, whose heart had just soothed, couldn't help shrinking his body and struggling for a moment. Has he changed his mind? What is the strength of this third wife? Lu Chang'an originally wanted to ask Pu Shaogang if he knew that Mrs. Karnstein might not be a human being, but Pu Shaogang had never had direct contact with Mrs. Karnstein, so it was impossible to know such a secret. Maybe similar to you. Pu Shaogang was doubtful about his conjecture. Isn't the third wife the agent of the most mysterious person? If Ye Chinayu was that person, why would he ask such a question? About the same as me. Lu Chang'an nodded, turned his head, and there was a slight sarcasm on his lips, which disappeared immediately. It was unexpected that the third wife had such an identity. Lu Chang'an had also seen the third wife twice, so he naturally noticed that she had a special aura. Lu Chang'an didn't pay too much attention. How could he have the mood to find out what made him feel different when he saw someone who felt different? If it weren't for the fact that she was Zhu Huntang's mother, a member of the Zhu family, and had some relationship with Su Xiaoqi, Lu Chang'an wouldn't even bother to pay attention. But now it seems that this third wife is really not simple, and she is also someone worth getting to know more deeply. Whose agent has the third wife become? Lu Chang'an had doubted whether Su Mei was still alive before, so naturally he thought of Su Mei immediately. There was a high possibility that this third wife was Su Mei's agent. Probably because she was Su Mei's agent, the third wife had a very high status in the Zhu family. When I went to Taiwan that day, I had seen this third wife traveling. The eldest son of the third generation of the Zhu family was very prosperous in Taiwan's political circles. Zhu Chang'e, who was standing up, was very respectful in front of the third wife, and the third wife was in the car and didn't even mean to get out of the car and talk to Zhu Chang'e. In other words, now the third wife is an important person. After dealing with the third wife, not only can she get in touch with Mrs. Karnstein, but she can also learn something about Su Mei. For Su Mei, Lu Chang'an's feelings are a little complicated. Lu Chang'an doesn't know what kind of scene it will be like when they meet again. Could it be that when he first met Su Xiaoqi, he mistakenly thought she was Su Mei? If the third wife comes to eat rice noodles again, she will definitely greet her with a smile and give her more green onions. Lu Chang'an thought this and left the area around Pu Shaogan's martial arts gym. I'm really immortal. Author, Chu Lian Kui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 180. Pu Shaogang watched Ye Chinayu leave and finally relaxed. He lay paralyzed on the ground, gasping for air. The horrible hole in his lower abdomen was blocked by rags, and most of his body was stained red with blood. Pu Shaogang knew that he could not die, but he didn't know whether his arm could recover. He struggled to crawl into the room, made a call for help, and then called the third wife's assistant. The call was transferred quickly. Pu Shaogang was a little surprised that the third wife was still willing to answer his call, but he soon realized that the other party was not thinking about old friendship, but probably just didn't care that he was going to be imprisoned. It's still safe and sound, and I haven't cared about this problem. Is something wrong? Listening to his breathing, the third wife took the initiative to speak. Pu Shaogang could even feel that she was frowning slightly. A man named Ye Chinayu came to see me just now, Pu Shaogang said quickly. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a brief moment, which made Pu Shaogang feel something unusual. Yes, Chen's Chen, Jinyu's Yu. Sure enough, he is someone that even the third wife pays attention to. Maybe he is the person that the third wife is looking for in Junxia. Pu Shaogen knew that the third wife was looking for someone in Juncha from the time the third wife paid attention to Lu Chang'an. Although he did not know the more detailed situation, Pu Shaogen knew this. I don't know if these are the words, but he calls himself Yechinayu, the fifth master in the world, about 30 to 40 years old, slightly taller than me, with a slender figure, wearing a linen top, black trousers and mill-layer bottoms with his cloth shoes. He looks elegant and casual, but his skills are so high that I can't even beat him in one move. Around 30 to 40 years old, where are the others? Left already. Why is he looking for you? I'm looking for you. Pu Shaogen hung up the phone. He knew that he had made the right bet. As long as he was still valuable to the third wife, he would be able to get a life-saving straw. Lu Chang'an left the area around the martial arts gym and went to find a faucet to wash his hands and wipe his face. Unlike ordinary disguise techniques that use various props, Lu Chang'an never worried about being washed away and covered by water after changing his appearance. To be precise, his plastic surgery belongs to the highest level. Safe, non-toxic, no side effects, no prosthesis required. Lu Chang'an walked slowly for a while as usual, then remembered that if he walked to the parking lot, he would probably have to pay an extra hour of parking fees. After weighing it for a while, Lu Chang'an went to take the subway. Walking through the streets full of pedestrians, the city at night is like a girl with heavy makeup. She may not be very pretty, but it makes people feel more sad and sighing. Imagine her bare face under the makeup and indulge in her wild charm. And couldn't help but imagine whether she looked lazy or pure when she calmed down. With different faces and walking in the same city, Lu Chang'an even saw two high school classmates. Naturally, they didn't recognize him. However, Lu Chang'an's gaze lingered for a little longer, so the two girls felt a little weird. After all, it is obvious that he is a middle-aged uncle. Fortunately, this uncle is not obscene. His eyes are plain and he has a slight smile. Maybe it is a kind of appreciation for young girls. Lu Chang'an quickly turned his head and touched his pocket. He didn't bring any money. Fortunately, although Juncha subway does not have equipment for scanning code and passing through gates, a machine for online ticket purchase and collection has been added next to the ticket office. After Lu Chang'an downloaded the app, he purchased the subway ticket online and then collected the ticket and entered the station. Juncha subway line 2 is actually the main subway. Lu Chang'an took line 1. There were not many people. He even found a seat after passing a station, sat down peacefully, and took out his mobile phone to watch. Novel. Lu Chang'an is not interested in many things that are popular or emerging on the internet, but he found that although people nowadays are not particularly keen on creating humming poems and songs, or there is no such creative atmosphere to cultivate more wonderful works, but more creativity and imagination gradually burst out in other cultural creations. For example, songs, movies, TV series, animations, comics, and the online novels Lu Chang'an is reading now. Lu Chang'an was reading the novel when he suddenly felt a scent falling next to him. It was a mature, but not kitsch, still fresh scent. A beautiful woman sat next to her. She was wearing a cheongsam that was not a traditional style. It had a pattern of Western beauties. The quarter-stand collar was very ladylike. The exquisite hemmed sleeves revealed the entire lotus-like jade arm. The waist-covering belly design makes it difficult to see her true figure, but thinking about it, it is unlikely that such a woman would have unsightly fat. She was sitting next to Lu Chang'an. Although the cheongsam was short, there were no fat on the sides. With slits, you still don't have to worry about being naked or exposing too much of your alluring beauty. She was holding a box of documents in her hand, and the few documents scattered out were professional academic materials. There was no doubt that she was not the kind of woman who was uneducated and put all her energy and capital on her appearance. Lu Yuang met Yechinayu. Lu Chang'an looked up at the site. It turned out that this was a branch of Hunan University. It seemed that Lu Yuwang was here for class or something else and did not choose to drive. Many times the subway is more convenient, and the reason why Lu Chang'an likes to walk is because although walking is slow, it is very convenient and there is no possibility of being blocked. Lu Chang'an didn't speak, but he couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth slightly. This was really a wonderful scene. Lu Yuwang and Lu Chang'an are different. As a beautiful woman with an attractive figure, Lu Yuwang has an instinctive vigilance. She will look around consciously or unconsciously to see if there is anyone who looks like a pervert on the subway, who is timid but has lewd eyes. People, and those who like to walk around and shake their bodies and arms to inadvertently touch others. The uncle next to him didn't seem to be a bad guy. He just glanced at it casually. He was actually reading an online novel. Lu Yuwang raised his head in disdain. It was really tasteless. A man of his age should be holding a traditional book. Literary classics, or the works of Buddhist scriptures, Taoism, Nan Huijin, Wang Yangming, and others, are full of connotation. Middle-aged people still read online novels, which seem stupid and idle. They are obviously only read by children. But this had nothing to do with Lu Yuwang. Lu Yuwang thought of that university full of wisdom and erudition, so he picked up his phone and sent a message. Ding! Lu Chang'an's cell phone rang, and of course he noticed from the corner of his eye who Lu Yuwang's message was sent to.